Salutations and welcome to Tashana's Kitchen, where every day is a new day, and today is Italian hoagie roll and breadstick day. You all have one of those friends that does something for everybody else but never seems to have time to eat something healthy or have a home cooked meal for themselves. Well, I have a few of those, but I have one in particular who just happens to be driving by to work or on her way home from work today. She drives 2 hours each direction, and I've been preparing meals in a jar so that she could have pressure canning meals in a jar so that she could try some of my home cooked meals and benefit from actually not always being on the run. So let's get started without further ado. The first thing you're going to want to do is get some of your ingredients together. Real quick, you're going to want to grab a whisk, a tablespoon for your sugar, a package of yeast, as well as 1 cup of water a thermometer, and the water needs to be between 105 and 110 degrees. And then perhaps something like a trivet to set your whisk on. So I've already preheated my water, and what we're going to do is take a pair of scissors and open up your yeast. Now, I know that I can either put this straight into my stand mixer and do it that way, but I really do prefer to go ahead and mix it in my measuring cup so I can see it because it's clear. So I'm going to go ahead and add in my yeast and 3 tablespoons of sugar. 1. Oh, 2. I guess we're having a little extra in there. Excuse me, 2 tablespoons of sugar. I'm so glad I stopped. Trade spots with that. Now I'm going to give that a little whisk, trying not to get any of the yeast itself onto the sides of my glass dish. That's kind of why I prefer doing it here than in my stand mixer. So thank you for stopping by if you're brand new, and welcome back if you've been to my channel before. All right, I've mixed that up. Now, you may have noticed I have a new addition to my stand mixer. I have an early Christmas present. Might have recalled in my last video when I was making cookies, I was hoping Santa or my husband or my son might get me this nice little guard for my stand mixer for Christmas. And it's not even Christmas. You can see in the decor back there, it is still between the holiday, and I already have this beautiful guard. So we're going to try that out today. Back to our Italian hoagie rolls and breadsticks. So your yeast mixture is going to need to sit for 5 to 10 minutes and get a little bit foamy. So while you're waiting on that, let's go ahead and talk about the rest of the ingredients and materials that you're going to need to get started, besides your awesome stand mixer, and if you're so lucky, your shield. So you're going to want to have 3 tablespoons of melted butter. Then you're going to have 2 cups of flour. I've already measured 1. I like to use a chopstick for my measuring. And an additional, so it's going to be 2 cups, that's why it's just sitting here. I have 1 ready to go, and I like to do it in increments so I don't mind measuring my cup twice. And then an additional 1/2 cup of flour and 1 teaspoon of Himalayan salt. Now I'm just setting that on the top because the recipe actually calls for you to put your 2 cups of flour and mix that in, and then add the salt along with your additional 1/2 cup. So like I said, these are Italian. So we'll also be adding in a teaspoon each of onion powder, garlic powder, and Italian seasoning. Now my Italian seasoning is homemade, and it has oregano, basil, thyme, and rosemary, which most don't usually call for rosemary, but I do enjoy the rosemary. And then I'm going to be using a 1/4 teaspoon of smoked paprika. You can use regular paprika or none at all, your choice. So while this is sitting and I'm looking at my clock back there, we have a little bit more time. So I'm going to let you know. Additionally, you're going to want to get out a bowl that either has a glass bowl, I prefer, or something with a lid or plastic wrap or a damp cloth that you're going to want to cover this in once it starts to rise. But we'll get to that. We're not there yet. That's why it's sitting off in the distance. I also take my Crisco and I'm going to prepare my dish because I'm going to let my dough rise in here, and I love this dish for that. So what we're going to do is I leave a Ziploc bag in, and I start in the middle and just go around, and this is where my dough's going to go to do its rising. And I set that back in there, and I'm still clean as can be and ready to go, waiting on the dough. So I just wanted to share that tidbit with you, and we still have 4 minutes, so I'm going to pause and let you get time to get your ingredients together if you want to pause too, and then I'll be back and we're going to get started. Okay, it's been 6 minutes and it's starting to get a little bit foamy on the top, but as you can see, it's really not as foamy as I would like it to be. So I'm going to give it another minute, but I thought you'd like to see what that looks like. In the meantime, I went ahead and just got all the other ingredients ready to go and remove the ones that we don't need. Okay, it's been 10 minutes, and as you can see, we have more bubbles. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead, by the way, I've put the top on so you can't see, but you're going to want to have your whisk attachment as well as a whisk. So right before we put that in, I'm going to go ahead and do another whisk on my 2 tablespoons of sugar and 1 cup of water and 1 package of instant dry yeast. Okay, whisk back to the trivet. Now I'm ready to put that into the stand mixer. Oh, that's really nice. Okay, and then we're going to add in a cup of our flour. All right, so again, this is my first time doing this, so food for thought. Try not to get it on the top. All right, at least it goes in there, right? All right. Gotta be the messy one. Can't even see it. There we go. Beautiful. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and add in my 3 tablespoons of melted butter. Now I'm going to let this mix for 1 minute, and then I'll let you see what that looks like. All right, there's the 1 minute timer. So now I went ahead and got the 2nd cup of flour. Okay. Set that aside. Now we're going to do that for 1 more minute, and then we will be, in the meantime, you can go ahead and measure out your additional 1/2 cup of flour, 1 teaspoon of Himalayan salt, and then over here I went ahead and again, 1 teaspoon of powdered onion and 1 teaspoon powdered garlic, 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning, and a 1/4 teaspoon of smoked paprika or regular. Use my chopstick again. Mixed it together. And now it will be ready to go. When the timer goes off, we'll put in the additional ingredients here. Trying to move it out of the way. Some on the top there. Okay. Okay, beautiful. And now I'm going to use my chopstick one more time. And put that back in, make sure it's all in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and get this turned back on. Now, if you do not have your shield, you're going to want to, again, start on low with your mixer. And if you have the shield, you can just get right into it. And I'm going to put this back on, and I am going to let it go for 6 full minutes with, again, it is the whisk attachment. And then I will bring you back and let you see what the dough looks like. Okay, it's been 6 minutes. Let's go ahead and take a look at our dough. I've taken the top off, cleaned up my station. And you want your dough to be tacky, but not stick to your finger if you touch it. If it sticks like that, it's not quite ready. So we're going to go ahead and put it back down and lock, and I'm going to go for another 2 minutes, and I'll let you see what that looks like. It could take 8 to 10 minutes, and that's all right. Be right back. All right, it's been another 2 minutes, and we're going to take a look at our dough. That's starting to look better. Still a little bit tacky. I think we're going to push it down, go a little bit longer, or at least take a look and see how it looks when we get it together. Yeah, that's still a little tacky. It is starting to hold up, as you can see on the mixer. So another little tidbit for you, or a tip, you might have noticed that I put a towel underneath my mixer. Once you get the rest of your flour in there, if you see or feel like your mixer is jumping around your stand mixer, you don't want to hold on to it, because, you know, that kind of is the integrity of your unit and your motor and such. So I put a towel with 4 layers underneath, and then it actually will stay in place. So I'm going to go ahead and lock. I'm going to go another 2 minutes, and then we will take a look at our dough. Okay, I have my silicone mat out, my rolling pin, and an extra piece of parchment paper, and my dough, and my cutting utensil. So here is our raised dough. I'm going to go ahead and put some flour on my hand. So yes, I have flour as well as extra parchment paper on a baking sheet. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull out the dough and put it on to the silicone mat. Alright, so I'm going to move the extra flour unless I need it. I'm going to drop it, flip it over a couple of times and let it kind of stretch out a little. So I can see that it is roughly right now about 18 inches here. What I want to do, excuse me, is cut this so that I can do my hoagie rolls. So what I'm going to do is It's going to be raising up again, and I'm going to roll them out just a little bit. I'm going to fold it in half. Half again. And then I'm going to take flatten it out just a little bit. Putting a couple layers in there so it makes for a flakier consistency. Okay. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 inches, which is about the right size for my hoagie rolls. So these are going to rise up again. So all I'm planning to do now is I want to also do a few breadsticks. So first thing is I'm going to trim off the edge so that I have my breadsticks. Hold on one second, please. I love my chopstick. So I can see where I'm going. So I'm going to start right here on this, it says 4 inch. And I'm putting that on the sheet on the end. That is actually going to be a breadstick. Oop, I forgot to flour that, didn't I? Alright, so now I want to have a couple of inches here. So I'm going to go with 2 inches approximately on my hoagie roll. More flour. I'm going to do a slight impression so I can get this close to equal. If any of you know me, you know I can't really cut too level or straight. Alright, there's one. Set that there. We're not quite done. Now, hoagie rolls have a rounded edge, so we'll just go ahead and finish this one. So I'm going to go ahead and shape it out a hair by rounding it. I'm going to put that this direction here. Alright. Now, I know that this is 6 inches, so we're going to go ahead and take a look here. We have 6, 7. That's kind of a big hoagie roll. Alright, we're going to save one on that edge. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with about an inch thick again, and this is going to be another breadstick. Set it away, round the edge, and set that in this direction. I'm going to go ahead and scoot this up a little bit. There we go. Straighten it back out. Alright, let's see how wide this is now. Alright, still a breadstick. I'm going to go ahead and one more time. We're going to flatten that out after we have another inch of a breadstick. Now, if you wanted to, you could simply make sure that this is wider and more square. But because I had such a sticky dough to begin with, I'm just going to go with what we have. And since I planned on doing Italian breadsticks as well as the hoagie rolls, we're going to go ahead and do both. This needs to move over. There we go. That in real quick. Don't want it too thin. A little testing strip. Alright, so now let's go back and take a look at this. The beauty of this utensil is you can use it to help guide and keep your line kind of straight. But let's see. I need to make that side bigger. So we're just going to hold off on that. I'm not pushing, I'm just letting it do its work. Because I was making buns and breadsticks, I would actually normally use my other rolling pin. To have an exact same size on my breadstick and my hoagie roll. However, because I'm having a hard time with my fibromyalgia today, it's just easier for me to let the marble do the work. Alright, that looks beautiful. Yeah. Still not quite happy with that. We're just going to go with it. Alright. 6 and 9. This one's going to be 2. So now I'm going to fold it over itself because this side is a little bit thinner and that one was thicker on one edge. I'm going to let it come together. Just going to put that on there. Now, normally I would be breaking these in half like this and seeing what we can do because I want to have a hoagie roll. And my husband doesn't like too much bread, so I don't actually want to have them rise too high. So I'm actually making more of what looks like a breadstick, which is why I call this all a breadstick. As well as the hoagie roll. So now going to go ahead and give this here about 30 minutes to rise up, and then I'll show you what that looks like. And then in the meantime, you can see that I'm preheating my oven to 400. That kind of will warm up the room just a little bit so that I can get a good rise on these. So I'm going to just go ahead and put a towel over them. I'm going to clean this up really quick. I'll get back to you. And in 25 minutes, I'll check on those and I'll let you see what they look like. I'm going to clean this up and move that right over here. All right, timer's gone off, and that means that not only is our oven preheated, but we have let our dough rise up until we are ready to do the hoagie rolls / breadsticks. So what I've done is I removed the towel, as you can see, and I put on parchment paper. Oop, that one stuck. With another pan on top. Just gonna set that, push that down just a hair. Move it back over. It's all right if they touch a little bit. I'm not too worried. So now we're just going to go ahead and get those put into the oven. These are my hoagie rolls. So we're just going to take a look at those in about 15 minutes. Could take 20, 25. Weather has not been cooperating today, as I already mentioned. So I'll be back when the timer goes off. In the meantime, I'm going to get out my ingredients so that we can whip up our butter. So just go ahead and grab 3 tablespoons of melted butter and your favorite mixes, whether it's whatever you want to have on the top. I'm going to go ahead and use my homemade mix that I made myself. And it has parsley, basil, thyme, oregano, rosemary, onion powder, garlic powder, and a little bit of sea salt all mixed together. And most of it I dehydrated myself. I'm getting a little low. I'll have to make some more soon. But I'm going to just use that in with my butter, like an Italian spread, but instead it's going to, an Italian spread, excuse me. But instead it's just my own mix. So I'll be right back with you and let you see what that looks like when it comes out of the oven. And again, 3 tablespoons melted butter. Mix it with what you want to put on top. Okay, I'm ready to make my mix. Here's my 2 tablespoons of butter, and I also have my little brush. I have 9 minutes left, so I'm going to go ahead and get it started. I'm going to take a 1/4 teaspoon or a tad of garlic powder. Sprinkle that in. A 1/4 teaspoon of my onion powder and sprinkle that in. A 1/4 teaspoon of my paprika, smoked paprika. And then I'm going to take a 1/2 tablespoon of my mix that I already mentioned, my homemade Italian seasoning. Mix it up just a hair. Sure I'm getting all my yummy goodness. All right, and now I'm going to stuff these back so I don't accidentally get butter in it. If you've ever seen my videos, you know I'm kind of sloppy sometimes. All right, so we're just going to mix that in. And then we will wait. And when our breadsticks come out, we will be applying that to it. And that is as simple as that. All right, there's the timer. Oh yes, they look beautiful. Pull that out, turn off our oven. I'm going to go ahead and set that here. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and get our butter. Actually, I better hold on to my pan because you know how it goes. Alright, we're going to move this a little closer for you. After I butter these a little closer where you can see them, I'm going to transfer them onto the other pan, the other rack, excuse me. But I decided I wanted to take care of this first. Alright, we're going to go ahead and start with our biggest one. We're just going to douse it really nice all along the sides and the top. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the only time you will ever see me double dip. Not into the double dip, but I like to swirl around, make sure I'm getting yummy goodness on all of it. And I start in the middle so that I'm catching all those extra little herb flakes and I can spread them back and forth around. And I don't mind getting the edges either, because these ones are the hoagie rolls, and a little bit big for a breadstick, as you can see, and that was done by design. As we were having some issue with that dough, it was easier to do it this way. Beautiful. All right, now moving on to the next one. Now you might see that they were kind of put together a little bit. I gave it a second. I worked on these ones last where they were connected on these three over here. And that's because once you put the across the top, I did the top over here, you can touch against the edge and they literally come right apart. Remember? I just showed you there that I did not do the top first and they're still together. But once I go around my edges here, they slide right apart. They don't break your bread. Hoagie rolls, or Italian hoagie rolls. It just puts a nice little butter edge. Now I'm going to go actually turn my bread around all the way. Maybe next time just move the pan. All right, now get these edges as well. A light glaze all the way around all my edges. I'm not soaking my bread. I do not want it to get soggy, and I'm not having them touch. I'm not leaving them in the butter if there's any extra left on the pan, because I don't want them to get soggy. You see, I'm not really using my hands either. I'm touching it with my silicone well, I want to call it a spatula, but it's actually my little spreader here. Alright, there we go. Actually, I want one more on this edge. It looks like it needs a little prettiness to it. Alright, now I've seen it's everywhere. One last across my top. Not dipping back in. I'm just spreading my herbs around and making sure that I'm not making them soggy. And it actually makes a little glisten. Now do note, I did not use an egg wash on the top of this. I simply just put them in without it. And here we have our hoagie rolls. I'm not worried about the irregular shapes. If you are, you can actually size them better. I'm just going to let them cool and then cut them down the middle, and I'll let you see that. I'll come back and show you that and how they end up, and getting ready to go get out the rest of the meals in a jar and let these cool and package that up for my friend so she can pick it up on her way home from work and have a few meals in a jar this week. Alright, it's almost dinner time, and I thought I'd show you how these hoagie rolls hold up in the end. So here is a hoagie roll. It's my husband's dinner, And the bottom actually has some A1 spread. And then there is some Colby Jack shredded cheese. And then what I've done is I took my meatballs that I had pressure canned. Oops, that's still kind of warm. That I had pressure canned and I put into a glass bowl. And then a glass on top. Put them in the microwave for 3 minutes. And it holds in the moisture so that they stay nice and moist. I've already washed my jar, but they were in here. And then I took some Montreal steak seasoning. I put it in my hand and then I sprinkled it over the top of the meatballs. And I put just a tiny bit more cheese on top and I've let it sit. And this is my husband's. And we are going to also have some of our home canned baked beans and pears this evening. So I thought you'd like to see how they turned out. Here's one without anything in it. They're super moist. As you can see, they spring back. They're soft, beautiful inside. They turned out lovely. Front, back, everything. I hope you enjoyed this. You can like, share, and subscribe. If you know anybody that would like to make an Italian hoagie roll, go ahead and send them on over to our site. Have a great evening. Time to eat.